Welcome back, Tiger fans, to Rock and Radio's football podcast. I'm Nate Edwards. That's Nathan Hurst. It's before the box score. Mizzou lost. But it's so much more than that, isn't it? Right? You had him on the ropes, top 10 team on the road. Your quarterback dies. Your second one of the year. You had him. You're 1 inch close, man. Hurst, are you recovered from yesterday?
No, this one's going to take a little while. Take longer, than I think, than the Alabama game. This one hurts because it really felt like Mizzou was the better team, but didn't get the job done. And they've been on the other side of this. They were on the other side of that last week where they didn't feel like the better team, but won anyway. That didn't happen this week, and that hurts. It hurts more than it feels good to be on the right side of those games.
Yeah. They 17-10. Just a old school SEC rock fight amongst Vanderbilt and Missouri. Missouri had a 30% post-game win expectancy, and I'm frankly shocked. The first time I read it, that was the case. Vanderbilt had a 70% chance of winning, but as Bill C pointed out online, and truthfully, I mean, you got to remember, Missouri was in scoring position a lot and walked away with nothing. And Vanderbilt did not have as many, but capitalized and had better explosive plays. And that was enough to tip the edge. But yeah, Pavia played terrible. That offense, Vanderbilt's offense, was held to like noticeable season lows, not only in yardage, but in success rates. Missouri's defense is legit. And I think, not that you needed a reminder, but that's the thing I'm walking away with, at least from this game standpoint, is that the defense can do what it needs to do. To put this team into a position to win. And frankly, when we were, talking about this team all last spring and summer, or this spring and summer, I said I thought this was going to be a team that needed its defense to put the offense in a position to win. And that's what they did yesterday, and the offense could not deliver. And that's even before Bo Pribula broke 3 tendons in his ankle. Like, it was just, it basically went to script, and Vanderbilt eked out the win. And they did enough to win, and there's not much you can do about that. But I know it hurts, Mr. Hurst. I know it does. It's meant to hurt because it's supposed to feel good when you win. But what was your biggest takeaway from yesterday's efforts?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's what hurts the most is this defense did exactly what they needed to do to win this game. If you go down Vanderbilt's stat line, Pavia 10 for 19, 129 yards and an interception, and then he added 20 yards on 8 carries on the ground. And you look at, and then Vanderbilt only had 136 rushing yards total, and 80 of those were on a single play. You look at those stats, you're like, yep, Mizzou wins that game. And they certainly should have won that game based on those stats. I thought the game plan was outstanding by Corey Batoon, how they game planned Pavia, how they rushed him up the middle. They kept their rush lanes. If he did escape, it was to the sides. We talked about this earlier in the week. He is not a fast runner. And if you get him out on the edges, he's not going to beat you around the corner. If he does, it's going to be for 6 yards. It's not going to be for 30. And only I can think of one time all game where he actually had escaped up the middle. And I think he got like 7 or 8 yards because they had a spy on him and they were right there ready to bring him down before he got any big gain. So props to the defense. The secondary played well. The front 7 got good pressure, minus the one breakdown on that on that 80-yard play, which you know on a different day would be you could call a holding on that, and it didn't, and that game is completely changed.
Sure.
So yeah, I think that's what hurts more. It would not feel better, but feel different if Vanderbilt did what they'd done to everyone else all season, which is just long drives, kind of just a slow churning machine. But they didn't do that. This defense got off the field really, really well against Vanderbilt. So that's what's really frustrating, is that the offense couldn't hold up their end of the bargain for sure. And it ultimately, what this game came down to, and it's like we said at the end of kind of predicting how this would go, it's going to come down to who makes a touchdown and versus who doesn't, in a scoring opportunity, and or who commits a turnover, who doesn't. Well, both teams committed a turnover. at in the plus territory, and Vanderbilt scored a touchdown on that drive, and Mizzou got stuffed on the 2-yard line. Yeah. So that was the difference in the game. Was Vanderbilt made the most of their opportunities, and Mizzou did not.
Yeah. And that's, like you said, that's why it hurts. I know Drink in the post-game conference said that they were on the, quote, wrong end, unquote, of some calls. He said they're neither good nor bad, but they're just on the wrong end. And sure, man, like you could say that. Like if you want to point to the Tollison tripping call, sure. If you want to talk about the Stephen Hall pass interference that was clearly overthrown, sure.
That was the most egregious one of them all. That was the most egregious one. And that one had the biggest impact on the game, to be honest.
Fine. That's fine. Yeah. But you got 8 penalties for 95 yards. Vanderbilt had 10 penalties, 8 accepted for 84 yards. And that's like illegal formation, delay of game, holding, false start, holding. Like they were not good either. And I think this crew, I mean, it's like with any officiating crew. Jesus. We had a rash of SEC retirees from the officiating crew 2 years ago. And not that anyone's ever happy with the officials or with the officiating, but it's not. These guys aren't good yet, right? Okay, and that's just going to have to be the case. And thankfully, in this case, they kind of stunk in both directions. I know that you can argue game situation for some of these. Fine, that's fine. Really, for me, I just... Yes, there are things to gripe about. Here's what I'm going to gripe about. I'm going to gripe about Jadis tripping that dude in the second quarter. Why did you do that? It was not even... Yeah. It didn't affect the play at all. And he was clearly trying to kick up his legs to impede the defender. That led to a field goal when you could have had a first down at the 1-yard line. So thank you, Tom. Here's another one. That goal to go sequence in the third quarter that cost Prbula his ankle. Bootleg to the short side of the field when you only have Norfleet to read. And that's it. Like, why did you do that? It rarely works. When it does work, you get like 3 yards out of it. You got to throw that play away, man. And that led to the Brady Cook fake pitch up the middle play that, caused Bo Prbula to go into a wheelchair. Yeah, so that's one that I would gripe with. The third one, the doinked field goal. Okay, there you go. That's a problem. That's self-explanatory. I'd gripe about that. And then finally, the fumbled mesh in the fourth quarter, right? Because despite everything that we just talked about, Missouri was still in a position to win the game. All they had to do was drive down the field and get points. So it was 10-10. And they blitzed. Roberts tried to pick up the blitz. Zollers tried to pull it out. He's a wee baby freshman, screwed it up. Fumble plus territory, like you said, they caught a touchdown. Those are the things that I would complain about, frankly. And, if you want to add referees on top of that, that's fine. But there are 4 big things in my mind that Mizzou screwed up. And change any one of those, and you got a completely different game situation.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I would not say that the referees cost Mizzou this game by any means. As you pointed out, they were the penalties were even on both sides. I would argue that the two calls that had the biggest, or no, in one case, no call, had the biggest impact on the entire game went against Mizzou. One of them was questionable. One of them was clearly not a pass interference. It was 10 yards out of bounds. It was egregious that they called it, because it would have been 2nd and 20. And that was the drive that they ultimately went down and scored the game-winning touchdown. And the way the defense was playing, Vanderbilt was not picking up a first down on 2nd and 20. That said, you're right. The 4 plays that you did point out, those were plays in Mizzou's control that they did not control. And so those are the ones that you have to blame and look at if you're going to nitpick on specific plays. Those are the plays that cost the team the game, and those were ones that Mizzou failed to execute. Yeah. Back to the play call on the goal line. That was inexplicable for a number of reasons. Coming out of a timeout, they called the timeout. Everyone was on the same page. So what that means is that call and the 2-play sequence is not solely on Kirby Moore, because Eli Drinkwitz is on the headset. He is in that huddle. They are talking as a team. What is this play? He has full veto power. He's the boss. He can say, no, I don't like that play. Give the ball to Ahmad Hardy, the guy that is good. Give the ball to the guy that is good. Do it 2 times. He will get in. He could have said that. He did not clearly say that. So, that blame goes around equally there. Regardless of who you blame, it was horrific process to land on those 2 play calls, specifically the pass. Because as you said, it's on the short side of the field. There's no room to run. The margin of error for that play is so small. You have to rely on the defense doing everything that you want them to do. You also have to rely on your own team executing every part of that play perfectly. The handoff, the play action handoff has to go smoothly. The offensive line has to block and not get downfield to be ineligible. Norfleet has to get out of his stance and get out of his break smoothly and get to the corner with fast enough to get open fast enough that by the time Pabula, before he runs out of real estate, can get him the ball. None of those things happened. All right. It's through the short side of the field. There's no room to run down that way. You run out of room way too fast. So even if the thought process there is, even if Norfleet isn't open, is covered, Pabula can run it in, right? But he has no room to run it in because their sideline is right there. It's absolutely like there are no words to defend that play call in that spot at that part of the field. Okay. And the offensive line didn't block well. Pabula was under pressure immediately. Norfleet did not get cleanly out of his break. He was then double covered. All right. There was nothing that went right about that play. And to be honest, they were really lucky that Pabula was able to get the ball away so that they was then 4th and 2 instead of getting sacked for 4th and 6. And to be honest, it probably would have worked out better for Mizzou if he had gotten sacked or run out of bounds at the 5, because then they wouldn't have called the same call. Back to that fake pitch thing, that play has worked every single time for the last 3 years that they've run it. Okay. They called out on 4th down every time. It didn't work that time. So maybe now's the time to stop calling it, but they hadn't been stopped yet. Fine. But the fact that you look at that 4-play sequence, or at least those 2-play sequence, and Ahmad Hardy wasn't even on the field, and my light just died. He wasn't even on the field, and
he wasn't in
Jamal Roberts was on. Jamal Roberts was on.
Man.
They came out of a time. That was Jamal Roberts' drive, because they will he'll get a drive. That's great. Roberts deserves to be on the field and get carries. They come out of the timeout, and you on 3rd down and 2, and you can't decide, okay, yeah, this was Roberts' drive, but we're going to put our guy in now. We have 2 plays to get 2 yards to take control of this game. And they didn't. They kept Roberts in. Okay, whatever. Roberts is fine. I would trust him on to get the ball twice and score in 2 yards too. Last year, he was actually a pretty good short yardage back. And a few different times they gave him the ball down there. Okay.
Do you want to
either way, I would have put Hardy.
Hardy ran the ball twice on that drive. It was a 5-play drive. He got it on first and goal at the 10. He ran for 7. 2nd and goal on the 3. He ran for 1. Then they took him out. So there, now you can get even more mad.
They took him out, but because Roberts, and I guess because they wanted Roberts to block on that 3rd down play, probably. Which he's their blocking. He's their 3rd down passing play running back. So there's a clue right there that they may not be running it if Hardy's not even in the game and their pass blocking running back is in the game. So there was a lot there in that sequence that was very, very frustrating. And that, in terms of overall play calling, there wasn't a whole lot else you can nitpick there. I mean, maybe here and there. Once Pabula goes out, I actually thought that they did a pretty nice job of giving Zollers some easy looks and some plays, which you can argue maybe they should have done that for Pabula. I don't know, but Zollers looked great for the most part. In his opportunities, being thrown into the wolves there at the very end against a top 10 team on the road. But the other process played, and this is probably more on Drinkwitz than on Moore, but in that about 30 seconds left, they get a 1st down. They're rushing up to run another play. They're out of timeouts, and instead of spiking the ball with your true freshman quarterback to let him calm down, and then you have a full 40 seconds to call another play, get in his ear, say, okay, this is what we're going to do on this play. We're going to do this. We're going to look at this guy. We're going to look at if that read's not there, look here. You can actually talk him through this. Instead, they rush up to the line, call another play in his headset, and props for him for even being able to process that. Then it's a sack. Well, at that point, it's the throwaway that he's about to get sacked. It ends up being a grounding call. It was a mess altogether. And so that probably is more on Drinkwitz to call the spike there, but Moore could have easily done that too. I don't know whose job that is. I would.
I mean, I'm assuming they're like
that
they
was
had the secondary matchup that they wanted, right? I'm assuming that's why they're like, oh, no, we don't want them to swap out. Let's keep going. We just hit. Let's try and hit again. Like I understand that, but also, yeah, it's an 18-year-old freshman on the road.
If you have an experienced quarterback, if you have an experienced quarterback who is who's done this before, and not that Prebula is even that more experienced, but he's run some 2-minute drills in live action and had success. So if it's Prebula, sure, let him go. But you can't do that with an 18-year-old in his first actual game, gameplay of his career, where it counts. Who played 2 games his senior year of high school. So this is like his first real game action in more than a calendar year. If you want to count, high school varsity football as real game action, I guess you can. And he played remarkably well, given the circumstances. But they didn't. They could have set themselves up better. They could have clocked it. They'd had 30 seconds left, 3 downs, because at that point downs don't matter. You downs don't matter. The clock matters. And they would have had 3 more downs to get at least a first down, but hopefully more. And then they're left with 1 play after that instead of getting at least 3. So,
does it feel any cathartic talking about it, or just getting you riled up all over again?
I don't know. I mean, it maybe a little bit. It feels better to actually vocalize it. I was thinking these exact same things last night on my couch at 10:30 p.m. But unless I wanted my wife to yell down at me to shut up, I couldn't really yell them out at that point. So I'm doing it now.
There you go. And see, it feels good. It feels good to let it out. I'm sure you're not the only one who thinks it, because I've been thinking it too. It's it was a tough environment, man. Like it was tough going. I do think, other than the aforementioned plays that we called, more was trying balance, to a certain extent. If you look at the first quarter, they called 8 runs to 5 passes, which I think is fine. 8 runs to 8 passes in the second quarter, which it's balanced. Then they went heavy on the run in the third quarter, 14-9 run to pass, and then you get into the fourth quarter and like, okay, we gotta throw to get out of here. And it was pretty balanced up until that last drive when they went like 9 straight pass plays. So, they were definitely trying to lean on the run. They clearly saw what I saw as an opportunity to run, and they had some success. It's just, the game gets shrunk down and you're not able to execute on a couple third downs, and that's it. It is becoming a problem. I talked about it after the Auburn game, that I thought that this offensive line was not good. I said it back, in South Carolina, that I didn't think they're all that great, and that's really showing itself now as we get through the teeth of the SEC schedule. And so it's not going to get any better. And now you're down a scrambling quarterback, and now you have a freshman on top of that. But, Missouri was able to, get pretty good success rates. They were better than Vanderbilt literally in every single quarter. They ran more plays than Vanderbilt did. Even when they had Zollers in there, they were able to ball control it. But this offensive line just did not give them enough of a chance to make room. Your yards per carry is 4.4. The success rate was 42.5, which is better, but that's a far cry from what we were used to. Ahmad Hardy finally got over a 40% success rate that he's been struggling with since Auburn and Alabama. But, 95 yards, no touchdowns, and 20 carries. It's not like they were holding them out or like this is a time situation. Like they had few possessions, but they ran a ton of plays, and they just, what do they have? Average yards to go on third down, 7.6. Average first down gain, 5 yards. So, right, you're just kind of, you're diffing it at some point because you can't be averaging an 8-yard gain on first down and then average a 5-yard to go on third and not have something go wrong.
It's called penalties. They had lots of holding penalties, lots of, false starts and just procedural stuff. Kicked them in the teeth every time that they got moving the right
5 for 16 on third down. You created 6 scoring opportunities, 1.7 points per scoring opportunity, which is garbage, even though you had an average starting field position of the 32.8 as opposed to Vandy's 21.1. Face mask, tripping, holding, roughing the passer, pass interference, tripping, false start, intentional grounding. Those are your penalties du jour. 95 yards, 8 penalties. There you go. Is Vanderbilt legit? Are they going to run the table?
They could. I don't think they're going to beat Tennessee at the end of the year at Tennessee, because that one will probably be for for a playoff berth. I do think they'll beat Texas next week.
I think they will too.
Even though that's in Austin, but that Texas team is not good. And this Vanderbilt,
they'll beat Auburn. So, they'll beat Kentucky.
I think they're going to win. They'll win 10. They'll win 10 games. And that might, even if they lose to Tennessee at the end of the year, that could and probably should get them into the playoff. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
But what made this game even more frustrating than the Alabama game? Alabama game was frustrating because they proved they could compete with a team of that caliber, and they just didn't get it done. This game was more frustrating because Vanderbilt's a good team. They're a top 10 team, and we were better than them. You could see that on the field, but they didn't get the job done. So Mizzou's not better than Alabama, but they could compete. They were better than Vanderbilt, but still couldn't get over the hump.
What did I say last show? Just do enough to win, and they were close. Once again, they were close. I will say, some of that close game magic, we're either we're relying on it too much or the magic's run out. But to my point, Eli Drinkwitz in one-score games is now 19-10. Okay, that's a 65% winning percentage. Like, that's still very good, but it used to be pretty automatic, and now it's not really that anymore. If you want to dive further into the numbers, he is 44-26 overall. It's 62%. 24-22 in the conference, 52%. 32-8 at home, 9-16 on the road, 7-16 against ranked teams. 30-25 against Power 4 opponents, 10-1 against G5 opponents. Not bad. 9-2 against the rivals, and again 19-10 against one-score games. And after a bye week, 5-3. We're on a bye week now. Maybe you can get another win after that. Also, another interesting thing, he is 11-11 in October. Like, he is 3-0 in August, 15-5 in September, 11-11 in October. You say, oh, so he just phased down the stretch. No, because he's 12-6 in November. Like, October just stinks for him. And, hey, he doesn't have to play another game in October for the rest of 2025, but I don't know. That's kind of where we're at.
It doesn't get any easier in November. Texas A&M is going to be ranked, if not second, third.
Yeah.
They'll probably stay at third. They looked really good against LSU, at LSU. They got Brian Kelly fired. That news came out this evening. So that is not going to be an easy game. They are very, very good. And then you go at Oklahoma, not going to be an easy game. Mississippi State at home,
not an easy game.
That not an easy game. I think that's a game that they'll win, but that's not an easy game by any means. Then at Arkansas, not an easy game, but they'll win by 3 points because that's just what happens to Arkansas.
God, I hope. So, yeah, I hope so bad. I'm gonna tell you a secret that only you are gonna hear, Nathan Hurst, and everybody who's listening. Like, I don't like to see Missouri lose against Vanderbilt. Okay, that made me sad. But the impact was lessened tremendously by the fact that Bo Prabula was essentially lost for the season. The second they put that air cast on his leg, I was like, all right, this game no longer matters because this season's done. It's done. And I know I'm veering into negative Nate, or that's what people are going to say. We're on our third string quarterback. We're on our backup kicker. Okay, tight end Brett Norfleet. Now he's got an upper body injury that they're being vague about. We're done. This is going to be tough, even with all quarterbacks and your starting kicker. This is going to be incredibly tough. Now, no. And look, I want nothing more than be proven wrong. And Matt Zollers is the quarterback of this team that wins out and finishes 10-2 and gives the committee a real something to think about. No, it's not going to happen. Not against A&M. Not against Oklahoma. No. So the second Bo Prabula went down, I just figured, all right, all the goals are gone. But now you get to build, right? Now you get to see what Zollers is going to do. He's clearly the quarterback of the future. If you're going to play him for the next 5 games, because remember, we do have a bowl game. If he's going to play the next 5 games, I don't see a reason to bring Prabula back. You got your guy now. He's going to start next year. And you got 2, maybe 3 years left of him. And that's very exciting. I can't wait to see what happens when he goes up against a top 5 team. I can't wait to see what happens when he goes up against Oklahoma on the road and that's going to be fun. Okay. I'm not saying I'm writing this season off and don't care anymore. I'm just saying the consequences of what happens this season are just mitigated at this point because the stakes are lower because your quarterback is gone. So yeah, I was bummed to see that they lost, but the impact is just so much lower for me because even if they did win, now what? Now you got to go run the table anyway. And so yeah, maybe I got the negative slant on it, but that's where I stand. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, yes, the end goals are much the high end goals are pretty much off the table at this point. If they do run the table, they will get in the playoff, but the chances of that happening are basically nil. The silver lining, as you said, is Zollers getting the chance to see him. Now, I don't think it's a guarantee that he will start next year, but he has 5 games to win that job, and if he looks like he did in very limited time at the end of the Vanderbilt game. To close out the season, I think he will win that job because the difference between his pocket presence, especially under pressure, versus Pribula's was stark. He just completely, just a very different, much more calm, even for a true freshman in his first real action of his career. His ability to navigate the pocket without freaking out, doing a pirouette, spinning around, and then trying to run out when he's under pressure. It was really impressive for a guy that just got tossed to the wolves. And so if he can now get 2 weeks to prep with all the ones, faced a very, very good Texas A&M team, yes. But if he could do that and keep playing like he did there, I think he could and probably will win that job. It's not a guarantee though. He's going to have to go out and earn it because Pribula is going to be back next year if he doesn't. So. It's a good position to be in where you've got 2 guys that you would feel okay about, I think, at this point, being the starter next year. We'll have to, see how the rest of the season plays out. But yeah, this team's not going to go 10-2 with the gauntlet that remains. We said at the beginning of the year, 8-4 would be a successful season. That still is very much on the table. And I think that's probably about where they're going to end up landing. Now, if they want to prove me wrong and go out and beat Texas A&M next week or in 2 weeks, that I'm all for it. But they land on 8-4, considering the fact that their top 2 quarterbacks got hurt. Yeah, if you told me not only Sam Horn but Bo Pribula are going to not finish, not get through the first 8 games of the season, and they finished 8-4, I'm going to tell you that was a successful season. Yeah. So they're still on the table for that. Get into the Citrus Bowl or something, and maybe we'll go back to the Music City Bowl again. That's about an 8-4 level team. That's fine. Is it disappointing because of what could have been? Yes. But that's, kind of got to move on. Can't live in the past anymore at this point.
Small sample size. Keep that in mind. But he has been pressured 8 times. When he has been pressured, he's gone 3 for 7 for 33 yards. When he has been blitzed 15 times, he has gone 8 for 15 for 40 yards. Ugh, that's rough. He did get a touchdown out of it, but one of his 2 came when he was blitzed. But, yeah. Kept clean, though? Yeah, as with most quarterbacks. Yeah, that's great. 180 yards, 17 for 23. When he's not blitzed, he's 12 for 15. So, he doesn't want to run. That's not his first instinct. I think with Pribula, it's, oh, dang, there's pressure coming from the left or the right or the center. I'm going. Let's go. He's going to look to throw it, but he wants to move while he's doing this. He's not comfortable sitting still. Zoller was able to sit there and you saw him take a hit. Much less willing to scramble. He'll do it. He's a lot slower on the uptake on that. Also, he's 18. He hasn't quite seen what an SEC defensive line can do to you. He was introduced a couple times. But he scrambled for a first down. He got snacked around a couple times, but it's going to come with it. But yeah, this is a guy who wants to sit and throw. And you look at his target chart once he took over. I think the end of the season, you're going to see a lot of Kevin Coleman. Because what a baby quarterback wants is his seasoned veteran slot receiver to throw to. And in one game, he and Kevin Coleman connected for 3 first downs. and a quarter and a half a play. So I think that's a guy that's going to get a lot of usage. I think it's going to be a lot of turn around and hand it off to Ahmad, turn around and hand it off to Jamal. Probably on the
throw it 37 and 3/4 of a yard to Kevin Coleman.
You can do that too. Prefer 38, but get close. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I think when he came into the game, obviously there's very little film on Zollers, and Vanderbilt was protecting the lead at that point. There's a lot of off coverage saying, hey, okay, what can we get away with? We don't need to risk it. They did blitz him a couple times. I don't think what he was seeing was, a fully formed SEC effort, from the start. And they didn't really know what he wanted to do. And now at least defenses have a little bit of an idea. So I'm not saying I'm saying don't take the Vanderbilt product and then, copy paste for the next 4 games. I don't think that's going to be the case. I am curious how they want to manage this, because you cannot just run it every first down, right? Hey, standard downs we run, passing downs we pass. Like, that is a recipe for disaster for a quarterback. But you also can't just always ask your quarterback to throw it on first down. Like, there has to be a happy medium, and he's only known the playbook for 5 months. So I'm really curious what he is good at, what he knows, how he likes to play, and how much they want to, keep the restrictor plate on him. Any thoughts on what you'd like to see from Zollers as we go forward?
Just, show that he can, stand in the pocket, that showed a lot of what he did against Vanderbilt, and that he's willing to throw the ball in the middle of the field, which it looked like he was able to do. I think more so than Purpula did, and whether or not that's the play calls or his willingness to do so. But he looked pretty comfortable throwing the ball in the middle of the field, even when he's got rush right in his
deep
face.
shots. So, that's the other one.
Yeah. And throw it down the field. Now, a lot of that probably was, we got to get down the field. We got a minute left but he wasn't shy about it. He threw the ball out of bounds every time that he tried to beat, but
ask Marquise Johnson. He seemed pretty pissed about it.
He was, let's get to that later. But just prove that the stage isn't too big. The lights aren't too bright for you in the spot, and I think that'll be a positive experience for him moving into the rest of his career.
Yeah, 2 weeks to prepare for A&M. Who does A&M play this week? Who's got done with LSU? They go to, I don't know. Where do they go? They're not off. Texas A&M. What do you play next? South. Nope.
Maybe they are.
Maybe they are. Wow, that stinks. So there's really no magical benefit here. They are just taking the week off with us. Fun. Okay. Well, never mind then. So hey, you still got 2 weeks to figure it out. Obviously, Texas A&M is looking pretty good. Like you said, probably top 3, top 2. Depends on what happens with Indiana. It doesn't get easier. Just does not get easier. But that's why you join the SEC, to play these sorts of games. What are your vibes right now? I know you said 8 wins is going to be good. Are you promising because you got a young quarterback, disappointed that we lost? Where do you end up right now?
No, it's kind of pretty bumming at the moment. We might come back up in next week after a week off, but not super high vibes. And just because of what going before the game, what was on the table still very much, had everyone stayed healthy, had they won the game first and foremost. And that's, that's no longer the case. So that's disappointing. They get to turn around really easily with a big top 3 win in 2 weeks. It's vibes only last as long as the next game. They can in this league anyway, they can turn really fast for the positive or the negative. Just ask James Franklin, ask Brian Kelly. Not that James Franklin's in this league, but this level of football anyway. But I will say that the vibes were not helped by Marquise Johnson's antics, especially towards the end of that game. I think you and I tweeted at the exact same, literally 30 seconds apart at his, 7 I went back 7 seconds apart at the body language that he was showing when a true freshman quarterback coming in the second half of a top 10 matchup is, struggling to find you on the sideline, the last thing that he and the team needs is you absolutely losing your mind, screaming and yelling and pointing and gesticulating. And bro, you gotta cut that shit off. Like, that's not helping anybody. It's not helping your quarterback. It's not helping the rest of your offense. It's not helping the coaches get everybody on the right page. I get it. You're frustrated. All right. That's fine. I think everyone's frustrated, but you making a scene in the middle of the game is not it. And if I'm Jacob Peeler or the rest of the coaching staff, I'm telling them that's got to stop now, because you're not going to see the field. There are other guys playing well enough that they could easily replace you and not miss much of a beat based on the production that you've been giving us the last several weeks. So that needs to be a real clear conversation during this bye week, is that this behavior is not acceptable, especially when we're trying to give this kid confidence and get everyone on the same page, and just losing your mind at him or at whoever and pointing and saying this and that. That's not it. That's not how we're gonna pull this thing in the right direction.
And it's every week.
Yeah.
I know you remember the Alabama one, but like if you miss him on a deep shot, he just starts pouting. And like, but I'm not doing anything wrong is not an answer in a team sport, man. Like, you cannot point fingers in a team sport. I think you nailed it. Jacob Peeler needs to talk to him. At this point, he is our least successful receiver when thrown to. And that isn't just because he keeps going.
And maybe that's part of his frustration, and I was as high as anybody on him coming into the season. I thought that he had a real shot to become a real, complete receiver. That hasn't really turned out. And I don't know whose fault that is. It may probably an amalgamation of a bunch of things altogether. He probably hasn't played great. The quarterback hasn't found the way to get on the ball. The play calling maybe hasn't putting him in a position to succeed. All of those things all mixed into one thing. He hasn't been the season that he expected, that a lot of us expected. That's still that's no excuse to act like that in front of 50,000 people in the stadium and then another 2 million people watching on TV. I mean, that's just not how you build success from a team that Eli Drinkwitz preaches brotherhood over and over again. That is not the culture that they're trying to build in that locker room. And I'm shocked that it hasn't been addressed already. And maybe it has, and maybe it still continues, in which case there needs to be some difference in who's on the field, because he's the only guy doing it. There's no one else on that field. And I know he's not the only guy that's frustrated on that offense about how that offense is moving, but he's the only guy that you see making a fool of himself and everybody else. So.
Yeah, it's I don't even know what is his ideal outcome, that he pouts so hard that they complete passes to him. Like, I don't know whatever. I don't know what he wants there. Yeah, it's just, if somebody came up to you and say, "Hey, you suck and I'm not the problem," do you want to work with that person? Do you want to find a happy compromise there? No, that's not the way to do it. And yeah, you're doing it in front of everybody. If you want to lose your cool on the sideline, that's fine. I mean, cameras are going to catch it, but do that.
Or in the locker room,
do that
before or after the game.
I mean, not on the field, dude. Not on the field. And I know he's like, "Hey, I'm wide open." Yeah, I know you're a receiver. All receivers think they're constantly open. I understand that. Help him out. Do him a solid. You've been in this league for 3 years. I'll come and say, "Hey, I know you missed that one. If I'm dipping my shoulder, that means I want to go out here. Like, try and hit me here." Or like, if they're going to shade over this way, I'll work with you. Like, provide, be productive with this.
Constructive
some kind of
feedback.
answer, some kind of feedback that leads you to somewhere instead of throwing up your arms and stomping all over this. Like, I know we're bagging on the guy. He's getting paid to play. Okay. This is part of it. Like, you got to be a professional at some point. And I know he's 20.
And we're not bagging on his performance. We're bagging on his attitude and his, basically blatant disrespect of the rest of his teammates by the way he's acting on the field. And that's what I don't really have any patience for whatsoever.
Yep. But yeah, there's an entire group of guys who are working hard to get this thing going. And I think that it's a real circle the wagon moment when you have a freshman quarterback coming in. You just lost your second captain of the year, your second quarterback of the year. Like, this is time to rally. This is time to pull together. And I'm not saying it's going to be pretty, but you got to find the guys who want to buy into that. And you got to play them. And I don't know what that means. Really, I don't think any of us have any question about this team other than the most vocal, visual one. But yeah, this is the time to rally. And so, like, find the guys who can do that. Right? Look for your heroes, like Mr. Rogers always says. Yeah, rally around and let's get this going. So, we've got 2 weeks to prepare for Texas A&M. Hopefully they remember it's Marcel Reed who's playing quarterback and that he likes to run. Okay, let's remember that for this time. But yeah, no midweek show this week. Hurst and I will take the time off to do, I don't know. What do you want to do?
Some meditation. Some, deep introspection. Yeah. Just, gather myself and, I'll come back next week as a much more peaceful and introspective person.
Okay. I like it. Maybe I'll pick up a hobby. I don't know.
Start whittling something.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll just watch a couple movies instead. But the point is that you're going to miss us the midweek. We'll be back next week to prepare for Texas A&M. So you get to roll around in this loss for a little bit. We'll get back at it. We got plenty of commitments that we'll talk about once we get back into it. We've got the backstretch of this season. We got a new quarterback that we can follow. There's going to be a lot of interesting things to pull on as we finish out this season, but that is going to be the show for today. As always, we appreciate the downloads and the subscriptions. You can leave a comment or you can rate us. We love all types of feedback from you all. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Nate G. Edwards. He's at Burst to Hurst. And of course, you can follow the Rockin' flagship at Rockin' Nation and our podcasting outlet at Rockin' Radio. We appreciate you tuning in this time. We'll try to do better next time. And until then, MIZ.
ZOU.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not the Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.